Yo boys, back with another video. Today we are going to be doing the good old-fashioned disc breeze. Now I'm going to be showing you guys a insane build, and I don't know what's happening with the sound. I don't know if the sound's just bugged or something, but whatever. Who needs sound when we have the X? We don't need no sound. But pretty much, I haven't really been doing any rogue videos lately, and I haven't honestly been playing rogue really at all. I've just been selling carries, and most of my carries, which if not all of them, have been usually with DPS, and then I just play on my Disc Priest because double DPS is practically impossible and not even worth playing unless you're playing Rogue Mage, which at that point, it's very rare that anybody's playing Mage in general, especially people that if you're playing Mage, usually you don't need carried. It's always like something else. So this guy's actually pretty good, but a lot of good people end up not having anybody to queue with, so they'll end up just, paying me gold to play with them, like, cause, a lot of people, even if they're good, they literally cannot find healers, cause it's very rare to find a good healer, or just simply a healer that can just heal them. So, they end up hitting me up, and as you can see, my damage is on point. And I'll have this link in the description for anybody else wanting to play. If you have a Disc Priest friend or somebody you're queuing with that is obviously playing Disc, you're more than welcome to copy the build or have them copy it and use it for yourselves. And you will see it's quite strong. So yeah, I've pretty much just been selling gold carries. And if you guys know, so on the code of conduct, so I got silent on this account for my title. Now I've done the same title every time I've sold carries. It's always just been, 0 to 1800 looking for a DPS healer, but the thing is this time I put details and I put two exclamation points at the end of it. Is it because I put details and the exclamation points at the end is why it flagged me, or was it because I had the LFG up too long? Because to be fair, while I was farming and mining and herbing and stuff, I'd have my LFG up for like 30 minutes at a time. So who knows what it really is? I asked them and they literally told me it was just the code of conduct. I was like, okay, well, can you tell me where on here it says, what I did wrong on it? And they said they're not able to tell me that information. So I honestly don't know what it is because I know I have a bunch of people that do the same thing I do and they are not getting silenced. So I was just, I know it has to be the details part. But whatever, it is what it is. We pretty much can still do everything but use LFG, which isn't a big problem because I can just go on my other account or my brother's account and just use the services and try to get, even though it's terrible. If you guys have ever tried to sell any carries or anything off of the services channel, it's literally impossible. It's nobody even looks on there because all it is a bunch of bots just spamming their stuff. So it's like it's just the difference between selling it on off like the actual LFG and selling it off services is an insane difference. But as you can see, Rogue Mage, um, these guys actually played really well. So overall, definitely played good, and they actually definitely got close, but not close enough to beat us. But that's kind of how it is. Our comp should beat them as long as we just do, our just as long as we survive for more than about 30 seconds, 35 seconds, we pretty much win the game. They have about 2 goes, 3 goes max to win, and obviously when you're facing a Disc Priest, I still have Ultimate Penance, I have Swap, I have Desperate Prayer, and I have Trinket, so I have all these cooldowns. At this point, I just Trinket. I didn't even have to Trinket, but I was like, bro, he's gonna die. I can just Trinket this. I have Ultimate Penance, and the game's over. So, this build is strong. The problem with this build is versus warriors and stuff like that. Now the build is very strong. There is an issue. This game, I am actually putting this game in here, and I didn't even know this at the time, but apparently invokers get teleport, and I just never learned how their ability worked. I'm pretty sure it's when they hover, it automatically gives them like a blink or something. This was not an ability. This is like a new thing. This must be like a hero town or something new. All I know is, as you can see, he literally just teleport across the map like he blinks, and I can never get it down if he was clicking it or if it was like just hover and it was RNG or if it done it every time. And you'll see here, I literally would click fear, and while my fear's in the mid global, he would teleport. And I'd be like, what is going on? What is that ability? Obviously, after this game, I actually, checked it out myself, and I figured out, yes, it is an actual thing. So, I'll have to keep that in mind the next time I play my priest. I honestly haven't even seen an evoker. I've seen evokers do it, but it was not as frequent. It usually would. I didn't know it happened almost every single time they used it, or maybe it's on like a. I don't know what they're doing, but it's annoying. So as you can see, he blinked again. So that's twice. He's blinked my fear, and I'm literally typing. I'm like, bro, drinking some water, some good old fashioned ice cold water. You guys already know it. But Warriors, it looks like BM Hunter is getting a buff. Fire Mage is getting a massive buff, and I'm pretty sure they're nerfing Glass Cannon. Now, well, I think Mage will actually should be. Now the thing is, if they're canceling or if they're nerfing Glass Cannon, I don't know how good the Mage or Fire Mage is gonna be. Hopefully it's back to being good. Honestly, I'd much rather people play Fire Mage than any of the other three specs. I think Fire Mage is the only spec in the game that, like, only spec in Mage wise that actually takes any brain cells to play. Especially since it's supposedly supposed to be off a burst. Lately, when Fire Mage was good, it was literally just an AoE spec and they kind of ruined the spec. So I don't know if it's just going to go back to being that or what's going to happen with that. But it's whatever. So yeah, if anybody's interested in carries or not even just carries, if you just want a healer to play with, hit me up. If you got the gold, I got the time, I could definitely use the gold, so why not? And this is we did about so he got a 1800. He just paid half up, and it was like, yo, over the because I've known this guy for a while now. We did another queue session a while back, so we pretty much just have a queue session every now and then. We play, and we will get to 1800 probably the next push. He blinks again, as you can see. But yeah, I literally couldn't find this build for a very long time. All my priest games that I've had up until the last day or two I just haven't been able to find the build. So, that's been great. And yeah, that's pretty much that. So this build is super strong. Again, the healing versus some of these classes does feel weak. So like when you're facing warriors or stuff with like massive MS, it does feel really bad. And I'm also running that catalysis, whatever it's called, where when I take damage, I do damage type of thing, kind of like thorns, but I can kind of manually click it. It's weird. It's a good talent to run. I also run mind games as well versus Pres Evokers, just because it is good. I think mind games is good overall versus them, but like versus in general, I don't think it's that good. I wish Mind Games was how it was in Shadowlands. In Shadowlands, Mind Games used to do a ton of damage, and it actually used to be, exactly what it was supposed to be. That was when I would use Mind Games. Now it's kind of just like it's meh. It's okay. It's good, but it's not the greatest. So yeah, that's pretty much that. We almost have enough for what I need. I'm just gonna honestly I'll just buy game time with it because I would never spend actual money on this game. You're out of your mind. I will simply use the gold. Very rarely do I ever use my money to actually to buy anything on this game. So you know yeah, I'll pass. But here we get the double fear, which actually wins us the game. I grip him towards me, and we end up taking him out myself because at that point we needed to win the game. But yeah, we'll have my main account getting ready to set back up. I've already bought in the expansion for worth of gold, which cost me about 800k. Apparently, the base edition, which I thought I read under it, it says it gave me 30 days, but I guess I just didn't read it right because I don't know why. But Sub Rogue Disc Priest, which actually doesn't seem like a bad comp right now just because of how Disc Priest is actually able to do a ton of damage. So here I dome. He actually runs out of my dome, which I don't know if he can actually see my dome through the shadowy duel, honestly. I'm pretty sure he could, but it's whatevs. But you'll see here, we get a game since I'm so used to facing Sub Rogue. I do a few things. So here I MD or I MS the ultimate penance, which actually he ends up almost killing his own teammate. Almost. I was so close to getting it. But that was nice. And then we also stopped his. The only time I ever MS or MD, whatever, or not MD, just mind control. So MC. is usually like on evasion or stuff like that. Something that basically stops my teammate from attacking them, and or if my guy has a bunch of bleeds up, and it's like, okay, well, there's really no point in him being out. The healer's not CC'd, and blah blah blah. Then I'll do it, because they're still taking a lot of damage through that MC. So this guy's pretty much just kindling me every setup and into a fear, which is actually a really, good setup. Pretty much kidney, fear, stun the main target, which is pretty much exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So they actually played really good. And by the way, this is a 16 to 1700 game, which is very low for how good like the players are. I'd say right now, over 1600, or I'd say 1700 plus right now is probably rank 1 through gladiator level players. Now, if you would ask me why Blizzard hasn't taken off the MMR cap, I couldn't tell you. It's going on to week 5. You would have thought they would have enough brain cells. As you can see here, I actually end up getting the fear on the rogue, which won us the game, because that was Shadowy Duel and it was Blades. So you can see why we would have lost the game there, but thankfully I actually hit the perfect fear, which won us the game on the rest of his blades. Had his teammate obviously dispelled him in the shadowy duel, they probably would have killed him, but thankfully I saw it just in time. So my guy here, I think I go for the look. Nope, he goes for the cycle and then he swaps it. At this point, we're just doing damage to this guy, and that's pretty much that. So here we get the full stun. At this point, the game's pretty much over. He's gonna bash the healer. He has no trinket. It's GG. It's lights out. But yeah, that's pretty much that. This was also another game where we kind of just controlled the entire atmosphere of what's going on. So again, I don't know why the sound's not working. Based off what I've seen, is the sound is supposedly supposed to be working. I think in the game when I reset it, it reset my stuff, so I don't know what's going on with it. I'll have to check into it and see what's up, but I'll just fix it the next video. I don't think anybody really cares. To I used to play without sound. Weirdly enough, I used to hate sound, but now I can't go without it. It's weird. So here I MC because obviously he has orb. There's no point of attacking him. The reason the good times as MC somebody is if you're trying to just simply stop the healer from healing the other target, especially when you already know he's going to be taking damage and you can't really CC the healer. So here he ends up revivaling my fear, which is actually a really good trade-off for me because it's one of his greatest cooldowns. You can use it in a stun. It's the one thing that basically is one of the most broken cooldowns in the game. Just that one singular cooldown. It's because it counters a lot of casters, or honestly, almost everything. But yeah, there's going to be a few buffs on Tuesday, and there's also going to be a few nerfs, which DK finally, after all this time, finally is getting nerfed. I don't know how much it's going to do. It's still going to be A tier, but finally it's no longer going to be S, hopefully. So here we get the DR fear and we win the game. And thankfully we do so because Affy is not a spec that you want to be against. Affy is a better version of Assassination Rogue. I'm not even going to cap on that. I feel like Affy is 100% S tier. In Affy, every time I face an Affliction Warlock, the moment they have 2 bleeds up, the game is already over. So here we double fear them before they can fear me. We get a really good opener on these guys. Here I'm running mind games because the game before this, there was a double evoker game that we won. I didn't really put it in here because the video would have been literally 30 minutes long, and it was either my last I had 2 clips I could have put in, and I put in the other one, so that's why I'm running mind games, because anytime I run a evoker, I like running mind games, especially when I'm playing with somebody who does damage. So here, we get a solid sub. You think he would have died. His cheat death actually saves him. But here we get a double fear. We get trinket. The one problem I see with Assassination Rogue, and the reason I don't think it's S tier, is its quality. Its quality of being able to finish a kill. Now I can get people down to 20% any day of the week, but I can't finish the kill. I can never finish it. It's always, oh, I get them to 20% and then I can't kill them. They just won't die. It'll just go up and damp, and eventually I will lose. So it's like it's just I don't like Assassin just because it's just a dampener. It's really hard to kill. I can get people down really low, really fast, and it feels great. But then after a minute, it's just like, well, is this as good as I thought it was? Not really. I still think it's great. I still think it's S tier, or not S tier. I think it's A tier. But in threes and everything else, it's still really good. Like you play ass with an Affy Warlock, you're big vibing. You know, you play DK Assassin, which isn't going to be as good anymore because obviously DK is getting nerfed, and it's getting a pretty good nerf. 15%, 10 to 15%, is definitely a good nerf. Obviously, who knows what it'll end up coming out as. I mean, DK was the better assassination rogue, and Affy was the better assassination rogue as of now. So apparently, I'm not sure if you can death fear now, but we both death feared. So apparently you can do it if you're running a certain build because the death does more damage. I don't think it happens all the time, and I don't think it happens if you're running a certain build, but as far as I know, it does work. So death on fears does work. Keep that in mind. If you're playing a priest, sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't work. It just depends on your death. That's all. That's all. That sounds bad, but it depends on your death ability. How about that? So here, we end up getting a lot of damage out with Mind Games. You think he would die again, but again, he survives somehow. But thankfully, you know, we MC right before the bash ends and he gets taken out. So he doesn't have enough time to do anything. And he dies. So for the last clip of this video, which altogether, I think Disc Priest is by far one of the better healers. The two best healers in the game right now, I would say Disc Priest and Prez Evoker, still the top dogs 100%. The one comp everybody hates facing is mages. Mage priest, this has to be one of the most toxic comps in twos I've ever faced. It's any comp with a mage on it just feels super weird to face because mages are so broken when it comes down to like just pure like getting out of stuff. Being able to just run away from people, it's annoying. So, you know, it is annoying. And I hate mages. I think they're just diabolical in every sense. They're just annoying. Now, I think my Pharaoh here did a good job by lining, but at the same time did a bad job by permanently lining. In twos, you can never play how he just played, and it very rarely ever pays off. This time it kinda did because he was playing with literally two DPSs, because that's what I count as. Disc Priest counts as a DPS, or that's what I would count it as, at least somewhat of a DPS. Now, some games, definitely doesn't feel like it because you know you'll be so focusing on literally spam healing that you know your atonement just won't do anything. So sometimes it feels like it's doing insane. Other times it feels like it's not doing insane. It really just depends. It depends on what you're facing mainly, because if you're facing something with heavy MS, it's gonna feel bad. If you're facing somebody with, you know, not so heavy MS, which is Mortal Strike, so anything like Shiv, you know, Warriors Mortal Strike, stuff like that, it's gonna feel bad because, you know, Atonement healing just gets cut in half when you put a huge MS in, you know, in its stead. So here we get a good ultimate penance. He honestly didn't have to block here, and he actually wastes that one block on it for really no reason because the CC out of his healer was coming off. Sure, I had an ultimate penance on, but he could have just simply blinked across LOS and what he would have been right to his priest, so a really bad block. And that's probably why we ended up getting, you know, one of these wins here, is because later on he blocks again. So here we fade the sheep, we death the sheep, he actually kicks it, so now I don't have really anything to stop CC on me. So here I dome. Not a good dome, not gonna lie about that. I thought they were just gonna sit there and start attacking, but they're literally just full on kiting. So yeah, bad dome, not really good. The good thing about a mage though, if they're not running the stun, you don't really have to worry about it. I don't think this guy was running the stun, I don't know. If you're a mage playing twos and you're not running the stun, you should be running the stun 100%, which I'm pretty sure is a PvP talent. Every mage should be running the stun. Maybe not if you're running like double DPS, but like healer DPS, there's no reason to not run the stun. The stun is very good. I don't know if they're taking that out of the game or not. I'm pretty sure I watched Hansel's and he said, oh, well, they're taking it out. I'm not 100% sure, but who knows. Thankfully, this is the one time in the game where we needed to run, and we did run, and we end up actually being able to heal. Again, one thing that you're going to manage is you need to manage your atonement. Your atonement is the only way you heal with this build. you don't really have much healing like a normal healer would. You're kind of like a DPS. You have to do damage to heal. Weird as that sounds, that's just a factual statement. You might hit some fat flashlights because, when you have your bleeds up, over time, your flashlights will do more healing. Because as you can see at the top right, my debuff, it's giving me a stack on my flashlight. That's pretty much from having my, like, I'm gonna call it Sunfire. It could be, I don't even know what the actual name is, but, it looks like a Moonfire, but just red. Or yellow. Yellowish, oranges, whatever you want to call it. Shift F. So you want to keep that up pretty much on both targets 100% of the game. Now, if you're playing with a rogue, you probably don't want to have it up on whoever you're not going, because that guy's not going to be able to sap if you are over there hitting him with a Sunfire, for example. But this is a prime example of my guy kind of just laying back. He is going for a restyle, so it's whatever. But as you can see, my damage is going up, and having my consistency with his with him going back and forth, ends up being okay. Because obviously we're just doing big damage. We're trying to win the game, and that's pretty much all there is to it. But this is pretty much the end of the video. There's not much more to it here. That's just all there is to it. Now we will have some rogue videos coming out in the future. Now I have a lot of leveling I got to do. Again, that's really all I've done. I'm not gonna push anything because I'm not pushing on an account, especially when I can get my main account back and start, actually gaining the achievements I want, like rank 1, Battleground Blitz, stuff like that. So once I get everything set up, then we'll have we'll go back to the normal content. We'll have high rated solo shuffle, blitz, arena, whatever you want to call it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys want to see next, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace, peace.